Hello and welcome to episode 123 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to discover each other.
Whoa, what?
Nope. Let's try that again.
That is the hardest part of that ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 123 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where four friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. My name is Sam, not Adam. I'm joined today by Brett.
Hey, hello.
Hello, mate. And John.
Hi, guys. The asylum is run by the inmates today.
Yeah, Daddy is not home.
Yeah, these are our free and easy episodes, right? We've got no running order, just go off the cuff. Just do what feels right, guys.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking a lot of WCW today. We're going to replace every wrestler's name with a Japanese name. And that's basically all we're going to do. We're not actually going to review anything, so some things will remain normal. But yes, Adam is not present. He's allegedly parenting.
I'm actually going to undo some of my buttons on my shirt just to get really free and easy.
The last day of school, isn't it?
It is. Did you guys, on the last day of school, especially in primary school, have to get on the last day bring in toys and board games?
Yes.
Yeah, primary school.
Yeah, best day. The best
Right.
day.
So, did you guys have that kid as well who would bring in a copy of Screwball Scrabble and everyone would want to just play that because it's the best game ever?
Yeah, there's also that kid. Do you remember that crazy cricket game where it'd almost be, those machines you get at the bowling alley where it bowls the ball for you? You get one of those, it bowls the cricket ball.
Oh my god. So I've seen those, but I've never played it and I've always wanted to.
I was always a kid with
never
one of
had
those.
that.
Wow.
It was like a cross between cricket and Sabutio.
That sounds amazing. I've been so in on cricket recently. John and myself, in fact, have been discussing Hardest Part of the Wicket, our spin-off pod.
I can't imagine the Venn diagram of wrestling fans and cricket fans overlaps a lot.
No, it's a strong 2 at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely fall out of that diagram.
We'll get you one day, Brett, don't worry.
But thankfully, today we are here to talk about wrestling, not the T20s.
Phew.
Specifically, All Out 2020, an AEW production.
Yeah, exciting.
Rare.
Is this their big one, do you reckon? Or is
I think
Double or Nothing the big one?
this is one of their big ones, especially by its length, I would say.
It was a bit shocking, wasn't it, the length? Because obviously we've gotten used to sort of the slightly shorter length pay-per-views. But this one was a long one.
Yeah, AEW doing what they think is best, marching to the beat of their own drum. For those who are interested, episode 122, our last episode, was Payback.
Decent.
It was as middle of the road as you could possibly get.
Yeah.
I think that's harsh.
No.
Is it?
That's on the money, Sam. On the money.
Thanks, Brett.
You're in control as well, so just,
John, do you want to be
Dictatorship.
ejected from the podcast like Adam was? 'Cause I can make it happen.
I'll take a night off, mate. He's kicking me out.
But yes, today is AEW, today is All Out, and we're going to review it after this.
Oh, face first into the apron of the ring. There's very little padding there. A dangerous area. It's not wrestler friendly, I can tell you.
All Out 2020 took place at Daly's Place. I still haven't bothered to look up where Daly's Place is, but I believe it's Jacksonville.
Yeah, so next to the Jaguars.
Oh, right. Okay. Is this the amphitheatre or was that somewhere else?
Yeah, I think this is the outdoor-indoor one, isn't it?
It's a cool stadium, this. I quite like it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I liked it.
I do. I think the wrestlers suffer, though, with the heat and humidity, don't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
obviously...
someone in particular suffered from that, but we'll get to that.
Indeed. Attendance between 700 and 750 fans, although that would go down to 749 after a certain incident.
That's a lot more than I expected, actually. I thought it sounded less than that.
Yeah, it's almost like the crowd went deadly silent for quite a while. But to be fair, like at first I thought this was a kind of wrestlers, kind of AEW staff sort of situation, and then towards the end it started like cutting to fans in the crowd, and I was like, oh no, they were there.
Yeah, a lot of them seem to be holding signs. I don't know if they bought several signs, because for the number of people that they were showing holding signs, it felt like too many signs for the number of people that were there.
There was 1,400 signs.
Oh yeah,
and
indeed. And our comms team, JR, Tony Schiavone, and returning Excalibur.
Man, I really love Excalibur on comms. He's up there with Varallo for me. Well, that's a hard sentence to say.
No, he's good. I wish I could remember it now. I should have made a note, but I like him correcting JR. Like there's often moments where like JR seems to forget, I don't know, what wrestling is or something, and Excalibur has to correct him.
So about a year ago, I felt like I was leading the charge for let's take JR out back and shoot him. And I feel like I may have jumped to a conclusion way too early with that, because I really enjoyed the commentary from everyone here, including JR.
Except for the one, JR did one.
Yes, there were a few slip-ups from JR, and a strange sexist comment found its way in as well.
But I agree with you, Sam. I thought JR was good on this, actually. That aside.
So, Brett, you're going to read us the card, mate.
I'm going to read the card. So, it started with the buy-in. Joey Janela versus Serpentico. Then another buy-in, which was Private Party versus the Dark Order. I think numbers 3 and 4. I can be corrected on that.
Silver and Reynolds.
Then we were followed on to Big Swole versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in a tooth and nail match. Then we had Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks, followed by a 21-man casino battle royale. Then we had Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara in a broken rules match, followed by Hikaru Shida versus Thunder Rosa for Women's AEW Championship. Then we had Matt Cardona, Scorpio Sky, and the Natural Nightmares versus the Dark Order. Then we had Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus FTR for the AEW Tag Titles. And then we had Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho in a Mimosa Mayhem match. First time I've seen one of them. And finally, the main event was Jon Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Championship.
Amazing. Did either of you guys watch the buy-in?
No.
Afraid not.
No, me neither.
Oh.
So we can't talk about that, guys. But we can assure you it probably happened.
It did.
I know Private Party won.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
I'm not sure who won between Janela and the person who I'm not even going to try to pronounce.
Serpentico?
Yeah,
I'm not sure about that.
Joey Janela won.
Joey Janela was the winner. So key matches we're going to discuss: Omega and Page versus FTR for the AEW tag titles, and then we're going to go on to Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So, John,
hello.
Tag teams fighting. Tag teams doing fights.
Tag team fighting. Yeah, this was very much a tag team match. And this is pretty obvious, but FTR are really good at tag team stuff. Like the way they interplay and stuff is so good, and it kind of really played into this match because it felt like those two were working as a team, like constantly tagging out, like isolating people and targeting limbs. It's a classic thing they always say they do. But Hangman and Page were just in there on their own. Like it was like long periods of just Omega getting beaten up, and then long periods of Page getting beaten up. I really like this match. It's probably my favourite match on the card. I still had issues with it though. Like what I really liked about it though is that like it was like 3 bits. Like the first bit was FTR just working Page and Omega over, just really quick tags, little hilly stuff. And then sort of Omega and Page come back with these huge power moves that looked amazing. And then you sort of the third quarter, it kind of sort of breaks down a bit. It went a bit crazy. Then it kind of lost it for a bit for me. It kind of got a bit dead. And I thought the ending was a bit weird, like the double assisted spike pile driver just felt a bit strange. But overall, I thought it was a really, really good match. And that spot where Paige does that sort of blockbuster suplex off the top rope.
Oh my God. What is it called? Is it a Buster Suplex or something?
Blockbuster suplex.
It's basically just insane. It's the kind of move that like you would think of as a child, as like kind of, oh, if I was a wrestler, I would just do a top rope backflip body slam.
Yeah, especially
like,
because,
okay,
I mean,
sure.
Paige is quite a big dude, and both the guys from FTR aren't small. It was, really good.
Madness. Brett, what did you think?
I mean, again, I had problems with this match, but it was a really good match, you know, like, I can't say it was bad in any way, shape or form. It was really good. But it was definitely too long, I thought. Which was probably where the issues came in. If it was that bit tighter in time and then some bits connected and maybe we had a little less heat working from FTR, because, you know, when they do it, it's great. So they don't need to overdo it. Like, because they're so spot on with, you know, getting heat and all the heel moves, like we know. So, like, you know, they don't need lots of time to do that. They can get it done quite quickly. So it's definitely a bit long. But I mean, what I enjoyed most from this is the storyline. You know, the disagreements from Omega and Hangman Adam Page being, you know, making new friends that were just using him. And then the whole bit afterwards, you know, with perhaps the breakup of the Elite, like that's all really exciting. And I mean, I love Hangman Adam Page. I love his little cowboy chap like wrestling ring gear, just to bring that in with the tassels. I thought that was cool. But yeah, I mean, it was really solid. I mean, Kenny Omega is amazing. Hangman Adam Page is amazing. FTR are amazing. You know, I'm glad that FTR won the belts. I have to say, though.
I think for me, this match, I think this was also, was my match of the night. And I believe, as you kind of guys have alluded to, the storytelling in this is so incredible. You've got 4 wrestlers who are absolute masters of their craft, constantly worrying about the overarching story of what's going on and letting the wrestling inform that, rather than it being just a kind of athletic contest between these 4 guys and then the story comes second. This was constantly permeated throughout the whole thing, and it was such an enjoyable experience to watch. You could see FTR really kind of show what tag team wrestling is meant to be, and just absolute incredible stuff. There was a spot, maybe I want to say halfway through the match, which had FTR powerbomb into German into pinning combination. Yeah. And it was so smooth and just perfectly executed. If you like tag team wrestling, this is kind of some of the best in the world. And it goes to show how good it is, because Hangman Adam Page, he's still reaching the heights that Kenny Omega has reached. Kenny Omega arguably is the best wrestler in the world. And yet, kind of 2 amazing individual wrestlers together against a tag team who are legitimately, a tag team. The right result happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, and maybe it's quite good because it plays into what, I didn't like about these tag champs. While I love both of these guys individually, and there's no doubt that they, can be a great tag team, but they're both like, great single wrestlers. So like you want to see them challenge, for the main belt sort of thing, not be like a put together tag team. And the fact that the put together tag team fell out and stuff, like playing into storyline, I really appreciate all that stuff as well.
I think they've done a really good job with this sort of story with Omega and Page. Like, it's obviously been from basically since the start they put them together. They've always been this sort of friction of Adam Page being a sort of wayward soul. But the way they've done it through TV and the pay-per-views, I think, has worked really, really well.
As well with the relationship with the Young Bucks and kind of how they are like, well, hold on, we're the tag team here. You guys are individual wrestlers, and yet Omega and Page found success, and it was almost on the edge of brilliance and explosion, wasn't it? Like kind of two excellent wrestlers who were undefeated in 2020 up until this point. But the storytelling was just absolutely sublime, and I can't fault it for that.
I think it just needs and I'm hoping we're going to get that payoff, and not that it's going to be like a surprise payoff because of the friction that's happened, but it needs that real nasty moment a la the Shawn Michaels putting Jannetty through a window, or more recently Gargano and Ciampa's sort of like turn. It's not like a surprise turn because it's been telegraphed, but in a positive way because it's added to the storyline. But something just really nasty from whichever one that really separates, explodes the Elite and really puts whether it's Omega as a big time heel or what have you. I think that would be amazing. Then
I can't wait for these two to have a match against each other though.
Oh my god, massively. And the thing as well is that kind of for FTR, Omega and Page are going to be in the rearview mirror at this point. They're going to be obviously looking at a bigger match, presumably with the Young Bucks at some point in time.
The biggest tag match in history.
Normally I would call you out on your hyperbole, but
come on, it's the match we've been dreaming of for years.
It is.
Yeah.
The trouble is, it's so hard, isn't it? Like, there's so much going into that. It's in our heads about how amazing that match should be.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing with this match is it was a great match. And I think kind of, as you said, Brett, kind of maybe 5-10 minutes shorter and maybe 5-10 degrees cooler. And it could have been an amazing match.
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, overall, I'm expecting kind of a very high Meltzer rating for this match. I think I would kind of be kind of 4 or 5 star kind of match.
I think it will be 4.25. I reckon that's what else is going to be.
It's got Kenny Omega in it though, so Meltzer's going to probably dumb that down to an 8.25 or something. But no, this was excellent. This was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so with that, we'll move on to our second key match, Jon Moxley versus MJF for the AEW World Championship. Brett, thoughts?
Right, so I had to watch this match twice because I thought the first time watching it, I thought maybe I hadn't given it enough attention because I thought it was going to be much... I don't know whether I thought it was going to be much better than it was. It was really decent again, but I wouldn't have said it was a great match. I don't love MJF. I think what...
You're not supposed to.
No, but not even in his wrestling. I think MJF probably is a great WWE wrestler. Just his style
Shady.
and his way of wrestling, it would be perfect in WWE. And
what about his use of the blade?
Oh yeah, that also.
When he just popped up with that veil of blood, it's like, oh Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The way it sort of just cleaned off his face at first, I was like, did he just chuck some fake blood on his face?
That was very strange.
Because also. I also found it strange that Jon Moxley would go and, bite his face and get his blood all in his mouth and on his face. And I was
He's
like,
an animal,
that's
though.
weird.
Crazy. It's like lunatic fringe.
But I don't know. That I think probably because it was this pairing as well, maybe there are moments that this match got too slow for me, which is what I didn't love about it.
I agree with Brett. At the time when I watched this, I thought it was mediocre. I didn't go back and rewatch it, but sort of thinking about it throughout the day, I think I enjoy it a bit more now. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of MJF, the way he works in the ring.
So I also watched this match twice.
There we go.
I watched it the first time and enjoyed it, and then just before the pod, I watched it again just to kind of remind myself of what happened and kind of specific spots. It's a very strong match because of its story.
I love the finish. I thought the finish was awesome.
Yeah,
excellently
really
executed.
good finish.
But I like the overall kind of vibe of this match, of the fact that kind of MJF believes he can out-wrestle Jon Moxley. Whenever they're in the ring, kind of MJF has the edge on him.
Yeah.
And then whenever they're outside of the ring, Moxley is beating the ever-living shit out of MJF. And throughout the match, kind of, it starts off with that and it evolves into kind of Moxley showing off a lot of wrestling prowess and MJF kind of becoming more and more hardcore and desperate as the match goes on, ultimately leading to his downfall. And I think kind of from a story perspective, that's an incredibly satisfying conclusion to the match.
Yeah, it was. And again, story-wise, I think this was, probably pitch perfect again, but not as much investment, obviously, because it hasn't had anywhere near the build or the participants of the previous match we were talking about. But yeah, it was just aspects of the match that just got too slow.
Yeah, again, I think kind of this is a criticism that can be leveled across the entire pay-per-view. I think kind of the heat really kind of,
I don't think it
sapped the energy.
Needed, like, overall, like the pay-per-view didn't need to be as long as it was.
No.
I was even reading, like, one match got extended because of an incident, which I'm sure will be in our worst of the rest. And I was just thinking, but they didn't need, like, the pay-per-view was long enough. No one needed to, like, fill any time there. Like, madness. But maybe some tighter matches time-wise would have, stopped the drag.
Indeed. Overall, kind of, I think this match, it did what it needed to do. I think kind of MJF probably isn't at Moxley's level.
No.
Yet.
But they made him look like a legitimate main event guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and,
sure.
and he's a good person to serve up to Moxley in his reign, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's good for him to get a bit of time at that, top part to then, continue progressing and
yeah, because he's still very new, isn't he? Like, he's not been wrestling for a long time.
No,
This
definitely.
is one of the things I do absolutely love about AEW is the fact that kind of we don't just have like Kenny at the top and Cody and the Young Bucks. Like, they have legitimately made a wrestling organization that kind of everyone can get ahead, and it doesn't feel like it's kind of driven by nepotism.
No, yeah, it makes it super interesting, I think, in that aspect.
But yes, so Moxley retains.
Oh, by the way, Moxley looks amazing as the champion. Like, with the belt draped over him, the way he walks, his entrance music, he looks the part so well.
For sure.
Flipping the birdie at Murder Hawk Monster. Is that his name now? The Murder Hawk Monster?
The Murder Hawk Monster himself, yeah. In fact, he did that in a reference to their run-in at Wrestle Kingdom 14, where the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer, flipped the bird at Jon Moxley.
It was nice. It looked cool as fuck, essentially.
Yeah. Moxley, I don't know if there's enough good things we can say about him, to be honest. He's an amazing wrestler, deserves to be at the top of the card. It's so good to see him kind of thriving, and it'll be interesting to see what's next in his future, because I think kind of no one's particularly fussed about another MJF match at the moment.
No, definitely not. Sorry.
And of course, Lance Archer is lined up.
That'd be a great match, that.
Yeah, that will be good.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on to Best of the Rest, and that works out nicely, actually, because I wanted to talk about the Casino Battle Royale.
Oh, we do love a Rumble.
I love a Rumble, and this Casino Battle Royale concept has really grown on me.
It was better this time. I remember the first time it being a bit, like when the 4 or 5 wrestlers came in, it was just a bit confusing.
Yeah.
But they had separate entrances this time, although sped up.
So I think kind of with this, they've basically taken the best elements of the Royal Rumble and kind of turned it into its own thing. And the fact that kind of the Rumble is great until kind of it gets down to 2 people, kind of mid-match, and then you're a little bit like, okay, cool, let's get the ring filled up with bodies again.
Yeah.
And so by basically making it so you got 5 people coming out at a time, and then you have a big reveal at the end, kind of, you're basically just distilling it down to all the best elements. And yeah, I think this match had some really great elements going on. Some amazing performances from Will Hobbs.
Yeah, I've never heard of him before, but he looked great.
I hadn't either, no. But he was on it. And of course, kind of Brian Cage and Lance Archer and Matt Sydal making his debut.
The Joker.
The Joker
came in. First big spot.
And was the sufferer of the humidity and heat and lots of bodies in corners draping their sweat over the ropes.
Oh, it was harsh, that, wasn't it? It was so harsh, sort of watching that superstar press. Ugh.
Yeah,
I feel for him. My heart literally came into my mouth just thinking about it. It was heartbreaking, almost.
Yeah, that wasn't the most moment, though, was it? Of the Battle Royale. It was Darby Allin getting thrown out of the ring in a body bag.
So
nasty.
When I was watching this, I was aware that there was a big injury that was going to occur, as is the nature of watching. Basically, any American wrestling in the UK is something will eventually get spoiled for you. But yeah, and when I saw what happened to Darby Allin, I thought he was the big injury, because that was rough.
Made me feel sick, that bump. Really did.
It was just such a... there is no way of protecting yourself from that.
Yeah, no.
And because, you are restrained. So, you can't protect... You can't do the things you need to do when taking a bump to look after yourself. You're just at the mercy. And it's just and it didn't look, even if Brian Cage had thrown him out perfectly, there's still a risk there. But it wasn't like that perfect either. It just, it looked nasty as.
It really did.
Yeah, it was real rough, that. I just noticed that there were 4 mats on this card. That's wild.
There we go.
It's wild.
That is. You could literally make a stable of mats.
What are the 4? Matt Sydal.
Yep.
Matt Cardone.
Matt Hardy.
Yep.
Matt Jackson.
Oh,
that's
of
right.
course.
You guys can share the podcast. Yeah, that's crazy, that. But a great debut for Matt Sydal, apart from obviously the big slip. Huge win for Lance Archer.
Yeah, probably the right person to win, right? They've been building up so strong. Although the end where Jake was hitting, who was the last with just the bag, which snake in it?
Oh, so yeah, it was Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer, and it turns out Kingston is afraid of snakes, as most people probably are. And so Jake the Snake paying his weight in gold, scaring Eddie Kingston with a snake, which was enough for Lance Archer to get the elimination.
Do you reckon there was a snake in that bag?
No, there's no snake anymore.
Yeah, I don't think he's allowed snakes anymore.
Just some rope. Some rope in a bag, which is what makes that sort of a bit cringe.
That's all right. I'm enjoying the Lance Archer, Jake the Snake team.
He's still got such a presence, Jake, hasn't he? When he starts talking.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the Battle Royale was my best of the rest. John, what's your best of the rest?
I really enjoyed Thunder Rosa versus Shida.
Holy shit, yes.
Thunder Rosa, they had a really hard spot as well, because obviously it was straight after the Matt Hardy incident, and everyone was a bit like, what the fuck just happened? But I thought they put on a great match. Thunder Rosa is cool as fuck, man. I love her. This is the first... Well, I watched her match on Dynamite against Deep.
Serena.
Yeah. That was really good, but this one was another level. Probably as a ignorant generalist, I kind of assumed, slight Mexican wrestler. I thought she would be like a luchador, flipping all over the place. But man, she's heavy on the striking. She punches the crap out of people.
Oh yeah,
And
real
it's
strong style.
so strong as well. Like she did some crazy power moves in this.
Yeah, she'd have really looked like she'd been through a war at the end of this match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was a great kick out at one after a Falcon Arrow. I was
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Love it. Man, I hadn't seen Thunder Rosa before this. I had heard about her, and this was the first time I had watched her wrestling, and holy shit, instant fan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. The personality, the ability, the look, everything was just so good.
And she does really decent as well. Like I really enjoy watching her in the ring. Actually, she's not masses or charisma, but in the ring, I love her striking style.
Yeah, I think it was good to see in a match like this as well. Like, obviously, I think it got booked this way to allow it to happen from the different promotion perspective. But for Shida basically to get kicked around the ring for most of the match,
Yeah.
but it's good to see someone, the old Bret Hart, get beaten up for most of the match and then pull out the win at the end. Have people on you, rooting for you because you've just taken a onslaught.
So I would go as far as to say as I think this is the best women's wrestling match I've watched in AEW to date.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I mean, did you watch the Nyla Rose Riho match?
Oh, back in the day.
Not the original pay-per-view one, but the Dynamite one, like the following week. That was something special. I mean, it's up there with that. But
What's happened to Rio?
I was thinking that when I was watching this.
no, is she back in Japan? I think there's a number of wrestlers that I think are probably back at home because of
Corona. Yeah.
and I imagine some of them were probably like Pac, not living there but traveling for events.
Yeah. Is that where Pac is at the moment as well?
What, Japan?
Well,
No, back at home.
presumably Newcastle.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I really
actually.
miss Pac.
Yeah, me too.
Same
He's
goes.
so missing on this AEW card. But do you know what? Oh god, what's his name? Oh shit, it's really going to annoy me now. Norwich wrestler with Penelope Ford.
Kip Sabian.
Oh, Kip.
Thank you, Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian on Dynamite this
bad.
week is going to be announcing his best man for his wedding.
Oh yeah, his promo was great. I was really surprised at how good that promo was. The bit where he leaned into the interviewer and said, "You're doing a great job."
Yeah,
was so well done. I love that.
With his t-shirt
really
all the way
good.
up as well.
So I reckon
the Twitter bit the Twitch bit as well, where the AEW put up this. That bit was great. I love that promo.
For anyone who hasn't watched All Out, what happened, John?
So Kip Sabian was announcing that he's engaged to Penelope, and on Dynamite on Wednesday he's going to announce his best man. And then he came in with like a homemade placard promoting his Twitch channel. And then on the screen, it said this was endorsed by AEW.
Yeah.
Love it.
Very good.
Absolutely love it. Because obviously WWE have recently had an edict from up top, from the big man on the mountain, Vince McMahon, saying not allowed to have Twitch or YouTube channels. They've actually backtracked on that a little bit and said you can't have it under your wrestling name. You can have it under your own name.
Yeah, well, I'm sure their contracts probably haven't got those sorts of stipulations in them yet. They probably will from now on. Anyone going there now, but existing ones.
Yeah, it's a slightly strange one. That.
I like this though. Like I don't think they need to go obviously total like WCW thing, but I want to see a few more like jabs and stuff at each other promotions. Like it's fun. Like they can benefit from it. They don't have to be like this all war where someone, one company then consumes the other and keep buying out all the old talent and stuff like that. It doesn't need to go like that. But
I do think you have to be careful with it though. Like sprinkle it on occasionally.
Yeah. So like, AEW can make fun of WWE's crazy edicts, and WWE can make fun of AEW's concussion protocols.
Oh man.
Brett
just had a flashback to that bump.
Do you have a best of the rest, Brett, before we move on to...
I do, and this was my match of the night, Young Bucks versus Jurassic Express.
Hell yeah, man.
That was amazing. And I know Jurassic Express are good, but like actually in this match I didn't realise how good they are.
They are incredible.
They are
incredible.
Incredible. And they held their own with the Young Bucks, and this was just, I really needed to see this match after the last, payback and stuff. I just needed that match.
I really did. Like this, yeah, you're 100% right. Like matches like this are why I love wrestling so much.
What I really loved about it as well, because obviously Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, the sort of big guy, small guy thing. Normally in that dynamic, the small guy gets beaten up for 15 minutes, hot tag, and then Luchasaurus clears house. But they don't work like that. They're kind of very equal. There's no sort of, and I really love that about that.
That gets that's boring because we've seen it so many times.
Yeah.
So it's fun for it to not be that as well. Makes them more interesting.
I mean, I have an absolute soft spot for any big man, small guy tag team.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of how impressive Jungle Boy especially has been.
Yeah.
Kind of like, I think everyone sort of knew, Luchasaurus super talented from day one. But Jungle Boy, I think kind of, it would have been very easy to write him off as, it's just Luke Perry's son and he's just a small guy wrestling. And it's not that at all. He is so talented, and it's great to see him kind of performing at this level.
He reminded me a lot of, do you remember Lion Kid? I bloody hate I hate Lion Kid. No offense, Lion Kid.
Come on.
He's much better than Lion Kid. I've come around to Jungle Boy. I think he's amazing.
He is. And the pace they had to go in, for this match against the Young Bucks, because they are not going to have a slow match. But to be as on point as they were at that pace as well. Yeah, I loved it.
Amazing. Yeah. So that's all the good stuff about AEW All Out. We're going to move on to worst of the rest. John, do you want to take the honours here?
Right, okay, let's talk about Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara.
Oh, my days.
Oh, okay, so obviously it was very early on in the match. The Broken Rules match. And Matt Hardy and Sammy were on top of this adjustable height thing. And Sammy spears... What? It was an adjustable height thing, wasn't it? Like one of those platforms.
Cherry lift?
Yeah.
Cherry picker? I'm not sure. Adjustable height thing is fine.
Now that I say it back, I do realise that sounds ridiculous. But you know what I mean. So Sammy spears Matt off, which they're meant to go through a table. They kind of miss the table, and Matt smacks the back of his head on the concrete and looks dead. Like, does not move a muscle for about at least a minute. It felt like days. Like, all the colour from his face looked gone.
Well, and it was just how, like, the total lack of movement was like, fuck, has he done his spine here? You know?
Yeah, just dead.
Forget concussion. Dead. Yeah. It looked like he was...
Yeah.
And the ref, Aubrey, did the sort of sign to get the medical guy in. They sort of try to continue a bit. Sammy sort of tries to wrestle him a little bit, but obviously nothing's happening because Matt's barely
can't
moving.
Walk.
Yeah. And Sammy tries to pick him up. Matt stumbles all over the place. He can't hold his body upright. Then the bell rings and it looks like the match has been cancelled. The doctor's there. They cut back to comms. Right? And then they talk a bit. And all of a sudden they start wrestling again out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, like, to begin with, that spot, like, and to give, WWE some due now, like, you're not going to take that spot, like, if it's, from a lower height on concrete or whatever, like, they do take some bumps there, but from, like, that height down onto it, like, taking that bump, the table's not going to do enough.
Yeah, especially that early in the match. It was like 1 minute into the match. It was bonkers. They were doing that spot that early.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, is that there's a very clear example of where you can point to WWE doing something similar and kind of making it safe. At the beginning of Money in the Bank, you had Asuka on the balcony jumping off there onto a marble floor, and WWE set it up in a way where there are 6 people who are going to catch her.
Yeah.
And it is a dangerous spot. Like, it's wrestling by its very nature. You're going to be taking risks, but it's all about safeguarding and making it kind of safe first before entertaining.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to be entertained by this. No one wants to see a 40-year-old man maybe die. It's just not cool.
The comms team later tried to say that he sort of passed concussion protocols and was allowed by the medical staff to continue. So, I find that so hard to believe. Just because in rugby, if they do go off for a concussion protocol, it takes ages. Like, it takes a good 5 minutes.
Yeah. And they couldn't say he was clear of concussion, really, until he went to the hospital after the show, which they tried to say he didn't need to, but clearly he did.
There's a lot of mistakes here. And the way it was handled was poor. Of course, I would say to the commentators' kind of defense, they're going to be repeating what they're getting over.
It's not anything. And I think Aubrey literally tried to stop the match. Yes. I think she was trying to make that call, but obviously she, was overruled. But again, like, what's really amazing, like, with everything, on all fronts that's going on in wrestling, this would have been such a great moment just to say, to normalize not continuing a match when something that dangerous happens, because that's what needs to happen. Like this, like, even if they went straight to the ending of their match, like that's not enough. Like, normalize stopping a match when someone's life is at risk.
100%. This is exactly it. Like, I know they put the stipulation in for, if Matt Hardy loses, he has to quit AEW or retire or whatever. Do you know what? You just rule it a no contest and just say, hey, it didn't go to plan.
Yeah, do it on Dynamite in a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah.
I mean, well, how many times do people get kicked out? They lose and they're out, but they come back in just storyline fashion. So, like, that stuff doesn't matter.
It. Yeah, like, there is no excuse for kayfabe getting in the way of, like, real kind of safety. That's the bottom line of it.
It's come out since that he hasn't got concussion and he's fine, but it doesn't matter. Like, he was obviously knocked out. He should not have been able to continue.
No, 100%. and the fact whether he had concussion or not, like, the guy couldn't stand up, and even then when he was walking, he wasn't, like, there.
No,
he was on autopilot at that point. It could have been like he could have done something really small and innocuous at that point, which could have given him real damage.
I mean, he could have injured Sammy as well when they climbed up that bloody scaffolding at the end.
Yeah, exactly. He put the other
100%. I mean, I think kind of ultimately the thing is that AEW, they need to learn from this. Like, this is their first real high-profile mistake, and I think there's a lot of blame to go round here, to be honest. Like, Hardy, he's a 25-year veteran. He shouldn't be climbing up onto 12-foot things, jumping onto concrete. Like, no one's going to be bullying him into doing that spot. It's just a silly decision, really.
Yeah.
But AEW, they need to put a zero tolerance on this and kind of just get that in place. But it's bad. It's really bad.
It ruins the whole pay-per-view for me, this.
It certainly does, yeah.
I couldn't really enjoy it much after this. It just put a whole damper on it.
What I would say is that it's not insurmountable. Like, it's a silly mistake, and I really hope they learn from this. But like, the thing is that comparison isn't the point here. But AEW are going to be measured against WWE, and WWE in their time have had their fair share of fuck-ups. Like, people have literally died wrestling in WWE because of just negligence on their part. And what they need to do is just take it on the chin. They made a mistake, learn from it, don't do it again, and kind of develop things further.
Think like you say, I was just really gutted that they didn't take this opportunity to set themselves apart and to fight the good fight.
The way it was handled kind of did stink a bit of they just didn't know what to do. They just did not know what to do.
It's almost like, part of the issues with the Brit Rest scene is like there's not something in place, there's not protocol in place, which is just, totally amateurish.
It is, and I think kind of this has been a risk now for a while. I think kind of we discussed this briefly last year in the Cody versus Dustin match with all the blood.
Oh yeah, so much blood.
It was so much blood. And there was just the kind of take of like, just because it's worked out this time and you've had a great match or whatever, like how much risk is acceptable? Because
yeah, and also even like on that previous one with all the blood, like, you know, in actual sport, you know, in football stuff, yeah, they cut their heads open, they go off for 2 minutes, get staples put in, they come back, continue.
Yeah,
like, you know, they could do that. Yeah, there's things they could do, but they just don't.
Yeah,
because it's wrestling.
I mean, ultimately, the thing is that AEW kind of prides itself on being set apart from WWE and it being kind of wrestling, not sports entertainment, and that's great. Like, I'm loving all of the wrestling that's taking place in AEW, but there are things from the 90s which I don't miss. Sexist comments and bad spots, stuff like that. And it's like,
yeah,
I don't want AEW to be bringing that back to the party.
There's a few misses that AEW have had regarding things recently, which shows that, you know, it's got to be more than just a selling point.
Yeah.
You know, it can't just be like something to advertise themselves as. It's got to be true.
Shall we move on to other worst of the rests? Brett?
I mean, I feel cruel for this one, but I did not enjoy that first match. That Big Swole versus Britt Baker. Like, I sort of, I give them some credit. It was a bit different, but it just seemed a bit of a mess.
It was weird. It was funny in bits, like the bit where Reva turned up with banana on her head. I thought that was that made me laugh out loud. And the bit with all the teeth in the cabinet, that was funny. But the rest of it was a bit weird.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this, actually. It was okay. I think kind of the reason they did a pre-recorded match is because Britt Baker hasn't fully recovered from her injuries yet. So
yeah,
this was kind of the safer option to do. And I think for all of its faults, do you know what? It was a harmless throwaway match.
Like I say,
it was a funny ending.
I didn't enjoy it, but, you know, because it was a bit of a mess. So it was like, yeah, it was a bit creative. So I'll give it kudos for that.
It was funny. It just made me chuckle in a couple of bits.
Sam? My worst of the rest. Oh, I'm not sure really. I mean, I didn't enjoy. Like I said, there was the sexist comment from JR.
Yep.
Which was just completely. I don't know why.
All those years with the King, though, some of that stuff's going to rub off, though, right?
I say, yeah. take the man out of the 90s, but you can't take the 90s out of him. But other than that, I think kind of a lot of the worst of the rest stuff has really been covered, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to say a special mention outside of worst and best of the rest for the Mimosa Mayhem match.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that.
It's worth talking about, even if it doesn't fall under worst or best. It was something.
It was something. Do you know? I kind of like the idea of a match where, like, they got these two barbs at the side that the wrestler gets dunked in. I'm a bit for that,
back, isn't it?
Yeah. You know what I thought it was? I thought it was a bit Mortal Kombat. The idea of you must dunk your opponent in this vat of acid, to win,
and the fact that, you know, Jericho was the one to go in, and like I think it was this point you realised there were fans because the way they sung his
that
music.
bit.
Oh my god!
And Jericho desperately trying to keep a, you know, heel face on the fact that he was loving that moment.
That moment for me was my favourite moment of the whole night. Genuinely, I felt myself tear up a little bit.
It was one of those goosebumps.
There were a couple of bits where you could actually hear the crowd pop. Like when Darby Allin came in, there was a big reaction. The bit with Jericho it did give me chills. It made me well up a little bit. Like it was like nostalgia. Like, oh my God, this is what crowds feel like.
The timing was so perfect because just before that they had done the VT, and like JR had mentioned, like Jericho is like a wrestler, runs a band or sings in a band, is a commentator, is everything he does, he's the best at. And then all of a sudden you have Chris Jericho, the wrestler, coming out to his own music to put on a match with someone who kind of fame-wise is way, way beneath him, but is happy to kind of work with this younger talent and help develop him. And it's just like, when we look back at Jericho in the future and sort of like just wax lyrical about his career. Moments like that are going to be the ones where we look back and just like how great he was.
Yeah, and he, you know, like we said this before, but like he puts over, you know, he'll put over all the younger and up and coming wrestlers. He'll like, you know, sell their gimmick for them, like so that their gimmick, no matter how silly, suddenly has like legitimacy behind it because Jericho is just such a pro at that.
Yeah, this feud has been seriously good as well. It's been really enjoyable.
I've enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun with this match. I think kind of Orange Cassidy coming out of the gate as well and kind of just going for him was good. And do you know what? As silly as it is, I enjoyed the match.
Yeah, and do you know what? I may hate a Superman punch, but I really enjoy an orange punch.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. It looks so much better than the Superman punch, doesn't it?
Yeah, better name as well.
Yeah.
So amazing. Let's move on to Star Performer. Goodness, this is quite a difficult one. John?
I'm going for FTR. What does FTR stand for, by the way, guys? Does anyone know?
So there's a few things. On Tully's jacket, it says "Fear the something" or "Fear the Retribution." I don't know.
Really, what it stands for is
"Fear the
Fuck the Revival."
"Fuck the Revival."
Oh, does it?
Yeah. So,
but they started putting it on their gear in WWE, didn't they? Which was great. They like took it and ran with it.
Yeah. So when FTR or when the Revival were kind of beginning to pick up steam, a lot of people would be talking about kind of who the best tag team is in the world, and obviously you'd have the Young Bucks and the Revival as the two tag teams in the conversation there, and the Young Bucks coined the phrase "fuck the Revival," and everyone just kind of rolled with it.
Nice. Okay.
Brett, Star Performer.
I'm going to go with Jungle Boy, just because I thought he was epic in that match.
Amazing.
Yeah, he deserved it. He was really good.
Cool. And I'm going to go with Thunder Rosa.
Oh, good shout.
Who, again, I just thought was incredible. And again, for Shida and Thunder Rosa in the spot they were in to kind of put on a match like that was incredible.
Yeah. Good work.
Cool. Overall, rank out of 10. Isn't this one of the hardest things to do when you've got a great pay-per-view, but you've got a terrible moment?
Yeah, I actually kind of think the whole pay-per-view was decent, but not amazing.
Yeah.
It's probably only slightly better than Backlash and SummerSlam, which I thought were also decent. I'm going to go 6.75.
That's a score. Brett, what are you going for?
I'm not as low, but in a similar vein. I thought, you know, it had some great moments. It had a lot of slow moments. So I'm going 7 out of 10. It's not the best AEW have put on.
I would be giving this an 8 out of 10. I thought it was that good. But the spot with Matt Hardy did put a real dampener on it for me. So I'm going to give that 7.5 out of 10.
Guys, this is the first time I've ever given the lowest score out of the group.
Yeah.
Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah. Oh my days. Bizarro world. Sam's in charge, giving a high score, and John's giving a low score.
So interestingly enough, that puts All Out 2 as our second worst rated AEW pay-per-view to date with a 7.083 out of 10.
Oh, what's the lowest?
The lowest was Fight for the Fallen, which got 6.3.
I can't believe we even reviewed that one. That's weird.
Yeah, it feels bad that we gave 6.3 to a charity event.
Fuck. We're massive hills, Sam.
But yeah, overall, a decent pay-per-view marred by an unfortunate incident and bad handling.
Oh, good Lord. Emerald Frozen Lord on the apron. He is a bad, bad boy. And ladies and gentlemen, that apron is not to play with. It's not to be trifled with or wrestled on.
John,
hello.
You've got some listener comments.
Yeah, so our lovely listeners have been in touch.
Let us know what they're going to talk about.
yeah, that's one subject that dominates. Okay, so Graham Hughes says, the main low light for me was the care and attention for Matt Hardy after knocking his head on the concrete. I think the match should not have continued to its finish. Also, JR's rather crash and misguided joke about Anna Jay during the otherwise good match during the buy-in. I thought that was made during the main event, unless he did 2.
Was it? I Oh God, no! I'm sure it was during the main event because he said something about a wardrobe malfunction.
Yes,
Is it wishful thinking?
Oh, rough. Oh, rough, really rough. Especially, rough. Anyway, Graham Hughes' highlight were Swole versus Baker comedy match, Luchasaurus having his best showing for a while in a great match, Shida versus Thunder Rosa having an epic match, storytelling and a hard-hitting tag team championship match. His favourite spot was Jericho into the Mimosa. Man,
see, Graham Hughes gets it.
Yeah, he likes a lot.
Hell yeah.
Tom, he says, loving everything going on with Paige, Omega and the Bucks. Hoping this is the start of a heel cleaner Omega, like back in New Japan. Obviously, the fact Matt Hardy was allowed to continue after that bump is appalling and really put a damper on the entire event for me. Yep, I think that is very fair. And finally, Lauren C., the referee. Man, that feels so nice to say that. Lauren C., the referee.
Very pleasing, yeah.
Highlight was Shida and Thunder Rosa, who had a fantastic match. Also enjoyed Orange Cassidy versus Jericho and thought they were telling a really good story in the men's tag. Low light, shockingly, is absolutely Matt Hardy's head knock and the way it was treated. Aubrey made the call and he should never have been allowed to finish that match. He was not in a fit state, clearly shown by how he couldn't walk. Shame on AEW management.
And that's one referee complimenting another referee, so they really know their referee stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ref did all she could, didn't she?
Yeah, I mean, it's not Aubrey's fault. It's Tony Khan's fault.
It's not her call. She tried to.
Anyway, thank you very much for getting in touch, everyone. Lovely comments, as always.
And thank you, John, for once again covering all the listener correspondence. And that's it. AEW All Out. We are all out of opinions on it. So next podcast is maybe in 2 weeks because I think we're having a week off.
Well, you guys are having a week off. I've got to write a bloody quiz.
You do. And yeah, you can't ask us how many mats were on this card now because I can tell you it was 4. If you want to suggest questions or help John out, Brett, how would someone do that?
No, don't do this because everyone will see them. You can't do this.
They will send their emails to hardestpartofthering@gmail.com. We definitely would see it if you send them to Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. We are at Hardest Part Pod.
If you do it on Facebook.
Yeah, no one's going to see it on the Facebook.
That's it.
That's it. Well, that's amazing. So thank you everyone for listening. Goodbye, John.
Goodbye, Sam. Well done hosting, mate. Good job.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Goodbye, Brett.
Goodbye. Yeah, good job, Sammy.
Goodbye, Adam. Silence. I was Sam. Goodbye from me. Thank you for listening. And that was the hardest part of the ring.
That is the hardest part of that ring.